Welcome to another episode of the For the Culture Podcast, soccer podcast for us, by us. Got a special episode for you guys today. Got your boy Grego here. The crew is talking about, it's been a busy week for all of us, but I didn't want to leave you guys empty-handed. Something we had mentioned the past couple weeks, there's a new podcast out in the streets, Can I Kick It podcast, basically talking about Black history in soccer. And we got one of the co-hosts on the show with us. Of course, you've actually might be familiar with him because he's been on the show. You've been on the show like what, 3-4 times by now, man. Like you've been doing this for a minute.
Let's see, the Henny Derby, 3 or 4.
Yeah. You got your boy Yogi here. What's good with you, man?
Not much, man. Just before you hit me up, I was playing 2K against my cousin. PlayStation Network gave it away for free, and I was like, let me go try it out. So I decided to beat my cousin's ass by like 20.
Hey, sometimes that's what you got to do, man. But yeah, man, we did want to give a little bit of an update on with you guys. Of course, the first week of the MLS is back tournament, kind of back, sort of back. Because DC had to delay their game 2 or 3 different times just to get one out because someone on the squad tested positive for coronas. Like I said, I'm really debating on if this will make it to August. And what you think?
I mean, honestly, from everything I've heard and what I've heard, I think it will. My bad. I think it will make it all the way through. I don't see anything stopping it. I mean, like they said, unless there's a huge, massive outbreak, which they don't predict inside the bubble, then they're not going to be stopping this tournament anytime soon. So, I mean, I know all the media folks, all of us were super concerned about it, but the powers that be, if they don't see anything wrong with it, then they're not stopping that show no time soon.
I mean, shit, we got states that don't even want to act right, let alone the league. So, we know how that goes. But of course, always the good shit happens right after we record. Because of course, last week was when this tournament started. First thing that came out is you have basically your Black Lives Matter moment with MLS, and they went hard. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I think a lot of us were really, hesitant as far as to see what they were really going to do, but it actually came through with it. You had basically all the black players standing around the pitch and had a 8-minute 46-second demonstration. It was really dope to see. What you think of it?
Man, I loved it. When I saw it at first, I was a little confused about what was going on. I was like, who are all these other players standing around the side? Because you can't really tell who's who with the face mask on. Right. And then when I started realizing, I was like, hold on, that's Toronto, that's Philly, I was like, okay, that's all the players. And then I, realized these are the black players for change. It's great. I'm glad they said that for the whole 8 minutes and 46 seconds because it really makes you understand, how long of a time that is. And I know there were people getting frustrated. They are getting annoyed by how long it took. But then I think it was just the whole thing. You have to really understand the whole message. You have to think bigger than yourself.
Right.
We've seen other demonstrations, from a couple of clubs now in USL. I don't know if Nice has done anything. But from what I've seen, mostly all the clubs have done something. Some clubs done more than other clubs have, and that's kind of expected. Philly. For their first game, the next on the second day of the tournament, they instead of having the player names, what they did was basically use the names of African Americans who had all been victims of police brutality, and they took the extra step. Of course, we've seen teams do armbands, shirts. Thierry Henry, he took the first 8 minutes and 46 seconds of his game on the sideline, kneeling. Everyone's trying to find exactly their niche and how to make their particular mark.
And everyone's doing it in their own unique way. You know, San Diego FC Loyals, they had a black and teal jersey that they dropped for their opener against who they played against? We Are Monarchs. But on the back of all their jersey says Black Lives Matter. Up in Indy 11 when they played against St. Louis, the game I watched, they had a big Black Lives Matter banner. So, you know, it's interesting. And the thing, like, I give Philly so much credit, really, because they didn't even tell MLS offices they were doing it. They just went off and did it by themselves. It was like, yo, we're not getting approved. We're just going to go do it.
Right.
And, you know, that's when we say, and this is for people out there that are listening, when we say, like, actions speak louder than words, those are the kind of actions that we're talking about. Not the actions where you're looking to see if the sponsor will approve it. Not the actions you're seeing, well, how many of these can we sell if we're producing them? No, you're just doing it because you know it's the right thing to do. You know? I know it's a whole thing getting caught up in, you know, which names you use and you don't want to admit people. And that's, you're never going to be on the right side of it because the sad thing is there's too many names to add. You know, there's jerseys in the world to put everyone's names on it.
Yeah,
so
because I've seen the NBA, like they've been kind of getting mixed up and trying to figure out, because they chose to allow for players to have social media messages, and they only let like a certain number of messages get used, and players like LeBron, they said, you know what, I'm just going to use my name and everything. Like that's the kind of stuff that, like I said, sometimes you just got to just go ahead and say, you know what, whatever the consequence is, you ask for forgiveness, not permission. You just go ahead and do what you do.
And I mean, the thing about the NBA, like, let's be real. Like, we all understand it's a business. You don't want people out there wearing messages that's not aligned with what you're trying to do. You know, you don't want people out there putting on messages like F12 or something anti-Semitic or something, you know, derogatory.
Yeah, too many people getting caught up in the anti-Semitic lately. We won't have enough time to get in that this week, but it's caused a whole lot of smoke.
It is. But the thing is, man, I think the NBA, I think they will adjust it because I think they are a forward progressive thinking league. I think the way how you change it is you tell players, like, pretty much, hey, look, you got this deadline. If you want to put something in the back of your jersey, regardless of what it is, then fine. If you do not, you know, if your name, if your thing isn't chosen, then we'll give you a list of things that you can put in the back. If you don't, if you decide those names don't work for you, then you just go with the name of your back. Because I think, like, with LeBron, I think the reason why LeBron's not doing it is because, you know, LeBron's whole thing is more than an athlete.
Right.
I think people want to put that on the back of his jersey, but if he can't do that, you know, because the NBA say, like, we got these 8 kind of generic things, but they kind of cover. LeBron's like, no. But then also, you know, I don't see any fault in LeBron not wearing it. I see more problems in Kyle.
It's not like he hasn't said anything, so right. It's not like he hasn't said anything and, you know, hasn't tried to make his mark in regards to these social justice issues. So, like, I'm not gonna knock him if he has his own way of wanting to make his mark and everything. But before we get up into your clickers, we're gonna give you guys a preview of Yogi's show that he does with Shamir Duran, his co-host on River 93. Like I said, tell us about what the show is. Tell us about, you know, what we can expect with this show.
So pretty much our show, like you said, alluded to, is called Can I Kick It? In this episode,
yes, you can.
Yo, I ain't gonna lie,
I had to do it.
That it always be so much because he'll do it and, like, in the middle while I'm just introducing the show, and I just want to laugh every time. So yeah,
somebody has to do it, man. Like, you know, it's the alley oop, man.
It is, man. I hope everyone's enjoying it and loving it. Pretty much, Can I Kick It is a show based around the Black history and the Black culture of soccer, whether that be in America, Europe, Asia, Africa, South America, wherever the game is played, and there's Black people playing it, we're looking to cover it. We're not the kind of show that's going to be week in, week out, kind of updating you like that. We're not that kind of show. We're more of a history podcast, you want to say. So you can listen to these podcasts whenever, like a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, and you can enjoy them whenever. They're not the kind of show that's going to go out of date. So far, we've done episodes on Wendy Renard, DeMarcus Beasley, Lincoln Phillips, and Ian Wright. We also done interviews with Rod Underwood, who's a coach that coached at Portland Timbers and Sacramento Republic, and also Donald Wine of SB Nation, and also the VP of America Outlaws. So, we have a couple of more that are queued up that we're looking forward to doing. I think the biggest thing for our podcast that we want to get across is these are stories of people that not only been influential to the game of soccer, but their stories haven't been covered properly. It's a shame that a player such as Wendy Renard, coming from Martinique, the only thing you really hear about her is from around the 2019 Women's World Cup. You don't really hear anything about her time in Lyon and why did she lose the captaincy and how did PSG and not Barcelona, PSG, and it was another club, overlook her. And she happened just to go to Olympic Lyon because she was like, it's the last stop on the train,
But yeah, man, we're gonna give you guys a snippet of his show. Again, we'll give you guys information on where to catch on the flip side. But yeah, we'll be back. Check out this clip.
Pretty much the way how you got scouted by Crystal Palace was he was playing in the game, and pretty much I can't remember. I think it was Dulwich. I can't remember the name of the exact club, but pretty much the club was just like, "Yo, he's good. He's good. Get him." Like that's pretty much how it went for him.
Yeah, and I think he turned them down 3 times. And after the whole Brighton Hove Albion situation, he was done. He was done. And Crystal Palace came to him 3 times and asked him. And one of his co-workers was telling him, like, dude, don't keep turning them down. Like, how many times have they come to you asking you, like, go for it? They came to you 3 times. So he ends up going to the trial. And funny enough, he ends up missing out on the finals of his non-league team to go try out for Crystal Palace.
I mean,
exactly.
Crystal Palace, non-league final, earning £30 a week, possibly tripling that. Like, I'm sorry, I love you guys, but
no, and it's really crazy how many opportunities came his way, how much he tried, how much he did not give up, and in the end, when it mattered, he was there, he was ready, and when he got into Crystal Palace, he blew up. He did. Hit the ground running.
But it's also crazy because just thinking about how that rivalry is between Crystal Palace and Brighton Hove Albion and how it's one of the more unique rivalries you see in English soccer, because normally when you think derbies or rivalries, you're like 20 miles or 10 blocks away from the other club you're in rival with.
Yeah.
These clubs are nowhere near each other.
Exactly.
And they're rivals with each other. So, like, now that has me wondering, like...
Does this have anything to do with that?
Hey.
Hey.
That what-if door is there.
That what-if door, exactly.
But also, like, the Crystal Palace fans throw this in Brighton Hove Albion fans. Like, we got the guy y'all refused to give money to go back home.
Just saying.
just going to toss that out there. But also seeing how he was at Crystal Palace. I mean, he made the PFA team of the season in '89. Mm-hmm. One of the 3 times he made it in his career. But, I mean, his first 2 years at Crystal Palace, he started off kind of like, I think his first year was really just getting adjusted to it. Mm-hmm. He only scored 9 goals. But that second year, man, he formed a partnership with Mark Bright, scored 24 goals that second year.
Yes.
24 goals, and took the club back up into the top flight.
Yep.
I don't know who you can... I would almost like to say he's almost like Jamie Vardy-esque.
You can see us some similarities.
Just in terms of like this guy that's non-league getting signed by... Jamie Vardy's career is a little bit different, but there's overlap there.
Yeah.
If I can make it definitely. There's overlap there. And then, of course, he gets the call up to England B. At England B, I never knew what this was. Pretty much, it's like a U21 team.
Yeah, basically for the U21 national team.
I'm just like, so you can't just put U21. You got to put England B. You got to make it sound fancy. That's a whole.
Well, we just got the U23s. And the team we sent to the Olympics.
But so he gets called up to England B in '89, but he doesn't play a match in the first division due to. When I say this, I'm going to look at your face and I want to see how painful it sounds. A twice cracked shin bone. Yeah. When I first read it, I was like, "Oh, my leg hurts." Like I did the Peter Griffin thing. I was just holding your leg like this. I was like, "Ooh, that's
yes." I mean, I've been kicked in the shins before. I've never had the bone crack, but when you get kicked in the shins, it feels like your bones crack.
Man. See,
actually having that, I know it's probably 10 times worse.
See, getting kicked in the shins is like the pain's there, but it goes away.
Yeah,
I equate that kind of pain to like moving your leg into like the bed rail in the middle of the night.
Woo!
Yeah, it's that kind of pain.
That pain lasts. It just. Or when you hit that, those U-Haul trucks, the metal bumper, when you're trying to climb down out the back of the truck. Ooh.
You take a moment just to realize life. Like, I'm sorry, God. I'm sorry. Please.
Yeah, no. So that's definitely it. Whew.
So pretty much at '89, he doesn't play a whole bunch because of course he's injured, but he does become a super sub, and this is where. I want to say, like, I don't want to say I remember Ian Wright as a super sub ever in his career, but, I mean, definitely his England national team career, it kind of seems to be that way. But in this very particular moment, he kind of becomes a super sub for this Crystal Palace team. When he gets to the 90 FA Cup final against Manchester United, and he scores twice. He scores once at the end of the game, pushing him into extra time. He scores again at extra time, and then, forcing the game.
Two great goals.
Yeah.
Magnificent goals.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. Ian Wright, before I went to go look at his highlights of like how he scored his goals, he scores some bangers.
Oh, he does.
He scores some bangers. But pretty much that FA Cup final goes to a replay. They lose against United. But you can kind of see everyone's now starting to take interest in Ian Wright. They kind of realize, like, oh, he's real. Because at that moment, you coming off of this serious injury to then become a super sub in the club's biggest moment since they came up from Division 2, and you have a big impact on that, that's huge. And, you in your career as being the club's third-time all-league goal scorer. I think he's the leading goal scorer post-World War.
Yeah.
So, my hat's off to him.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, he also got voted to Palace Century All-11 team. It was named the Player of the Century. So to get named Player of the Century, that means you're up there.
You're definitely you're top notch. You're top notch. I don't know.
Okay, let me ask you this question. So why is it with Ian Wright that granted he talks more about Arsenal, and I get it because Arsenal he won the Premier League with, and they're more of the bigger club.
Yeah.
But why don't we hear more about Ian Wright, the Crystal Palace player?
Well, you also have to take into consideration that apart from his first year at Arsenal, we're looking at the Premier League era.
True.
Crystal Palace is not the Premier League era. This is just the English First Division. And I think there's that disconnect within society, within the current generation now of not really knowing much before the Premier League era. So, with the Premier League era, with this giant influx of money, TV deals, all of this flash and boom, of course, the focus is going to be on Ian Wright going crazy at Arsenal and just completely, taking the team to new heights at Arsenal. So you're not going to hear as much about the Crystal Palace years. But, the Crystal Palace years are just as impressive. They're just not as popular. They're not as put out there because of the fact that, hey, This is the old league. This is the new league. So let's talk about the new league.
Do you also think it has something to do with the fact that Crystal Palace has been more up and down? I mean, now they're more stable.
Yeah.
But before they were kind of bounce around. They were like Norwich, like they kind of bounce around a lot between first and second division.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, it just kind of got my mind thinking about why don't we hear Crystal Palace being brought up more? Because I mean, if you're known as the player of the century, I would think you would be flaunted like a French.
Yeah, true. But you need to understand that. Imagine you have a career at, I don't know, Brighton.
Yeah.
We'll just throw Brighton out there since we've mentioned them already.
Brighton has screwed over so many times.
I mean, imagine you had a career at Brighton, but then second half of your career you go to Manchester United. But at Brighton, you were probably far and away the best player at Brighton, but then you go to Manchester United and you're part of a stellar strike partnership, but you're not the best player on the team.
Yeah.
Still, you're going to talk about those Manchester United years because it's Manchester United. It's the treble winning Manchester United, the Munich airstrike comeback Manchester United. So Arsenal has kind of a little bit of the same history, the same clout, that same popularity, and of course, Arsenal is one of the most popular clubs in the world, up there with Manchester United and your Real Madrids and your Bayern Munichs and Barcelonas.
So that makes sense. All right.
Yeah.
So Arsenal decides, you know what? We can go buy this guy. Ian Wright. All right, let me ask you this. Do you know how much he was bought for?
How much? I can't remember. I saw it. I remember seeing it.
Oh, no. Take a guess. Come on.
It like 2-point-something mil?
2.5 million.
2.5 mil.
And you know the crazy thing is? That was a club record fee.
Yeah.
Imagine saying 2.5 million is a club record fee in this era right now.
Yeah, well, see, you're looking at a League Two team. You're looking at an EFL League Two team. Talking about some 2.5 million is a club record fee.
Maybe more, because I don't think League Two. Maybe like Championship. Maybe Championship.
No, because you got to look at who's in the Championship. You got West Brom, you got Stoke City.
They ain't spend money like that.
But they're spending more than 2.5 million for a player.
I mean, a player like Ian Wright in today's world, you got to imagine will go for at least 20, 30.
A player like Ian Wright is probably getting paid as much Chelsea paid for Christian Pulisic, if not more.
Maybe.
Because, I
don't know, man. But still, it's just crazy to think of. He only went for 2.5 million in 91. But I mean, that 2.5 million paid off really well.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all right, so I'm going to run you down how his first year at Arsenal went. And tell me it's not insane. His first year at Arsenal, he scored 2 hat tricks on his league and final game of the season. He scored in his debut of the League Cup.
Yeah, against Leicester.
Yeah. I mean...
And this is the thing a lot of people need to realize. Yes, Leicester had that terrible season right before they won the league where they almost got relegated and they're considered a small team. At this time in the early 90s, Leicester was a mid-table to top-table Premier League team. They were what I would say Wolves are right now, and what Everton has been for the past 5-10 years.
And also that first year, this is the first year he went to Crystal Palace right before. I mean, he went to Arsenal before it became the Premier League, so he spent 1 year with them while they were in the first division. He scores 26 goals.
Yeah,
that first year. Till this day, he scored 29 goals altogether while at Arsenal.
That first year,
yeah, and won the Golden Boot. And I'm gonna ask you another question and see if you can get it. Can you name the only other player in Premier League history that has won the Golden Boot while scoring for 2 teams in the Premier League, in England? You got anyone? I'll give you a hint. He played for Manchester United.
Ooh.
And he was on the treble winning squad.
Is it Cantona?
No,
not Cantona.
Terry Sheringham.
Sheringham?
Yeah. Sheringham scored for 2 other teams and won the Golden Boot. I didn't look to see who the other team was. I'm imagining it got to be Spurs, and then he went to United and won the Golden Boot. That's my guess. I haven't really looked it up, but yeah, it's Terry Sheringham. But I mean, up to this moment, you're talking right now at the end of '92. So from 1985 to 1992, that's what 7 years. He scored 20 plus goals in 3 of those years, and he scored 30 plus in 2 of those years.
Yeah,
Like he was already proven that he was.
He's definitely in the question of one of the greatest in England.
Yeah, like he's up there. So that and now that makes me think more of like, why didn't we see him more in the World Cup and European qualifiers, which we'll get to because that's
I have questions. I have a lot.
You
of
have
questions.
We have questions. I got a lot for England.
Oh goodness.
So pretty much like while he's there, he's the club's top goal scorer for 6 years in a row, and he starts to form his partnership with Dennis Bergkamp. But this is another thing, like, and this is where it goes into like him finishing second a lot in his career.
And we're back. Hope y'all like that clip from the Can I Kick It podcast. I know, of course, you know, you and me, like we've been kicking it for a minute. Of course, we got our Twitter chats and Facebook chats and culture chats and everything. But I need to vent about something real quick. If you may indulge me for just a moment.
What's up, man?
What in the entire fuck happened with Man City? Because I need to understand, how do you go from having a 2-year ban hanging over your head, potential relegation hanging over your head, to basically, nah, be good. Go ahead and do what you do.
So I'll explain it to you in a couple of ways if I'm seeing it. One, Man City was never going to get banned in the first place. That was not going to happen. Two,
you can't tell me that. Like, how do you just go from 2 years to like not even just not even just saying, okay, let's bring it down to like 1 year. It's just said, nah, we didn't give you shit.
Well, because I think UEFA had their hands tied behind their backs, really.
And their wallet and their pockets full of money.
Yeah. One, due to COVID, you know, they couldn't. COVID's hard to navigate, man. I mean, it's unfortunate because you see teams like Wigan that's being used as a Ponzi scheme, try to get themselves relegated and things like that, and things that happened to Bury. And, you know, also with who's the other club in Germany? Nuremberg, that's, I think, hit administration. Mm-hmm. But I think with Man City, it's honestly, it just came down to the owner. Like, UEFA couldn't fight this case as long as they could, as Man City could. Man City could have devoted any and everything to this case and could have kept getting delayed. And UEFA know they couldn't fight that. You know they couldn't put out that kind of money that Man City was just dumping out there. So it's kind of like the same thing that happened with PSG. If you remember, I think it was maybe like 2 years ago, PSG kind of got caught up or something.
Yeah.
But PSG just had the money, you know. Chelsea.
So in other words, the UEFA needs more hitters.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, I think the thing about financial fair play, it's smart, but what it is, it's a weak. For those who don't understand what financial fair play is, it's pretty much like the NBA's or the NFL salary cap rule. But the thing is, if UEFA really like put some force behind it and really put some real stipulations, you know, it will work. But the thing is, UEFA can't govern it because you have 20, 30 different countries all on different rules, all on different books. You know, you can't judge Romania the same way you're going to judge England. You can't judge Germany the same way you're going to judge Lithuania.
You can and you can't. You can and you can't, because, I mean, granted, everyone has like different resources, but at the same time, it's very simple. You can't report, you can't lie in your books, basically.
Yeah.
You basically have to say like, hey, you got it. We're actually making this much money, and we have the resources, we have the money coming in to justify the money that's going out, and and basically you had Man City say like, "Hey, we straight up lied on our books," and there's no repercussion for that. Like you get like a fine. That's it. Like that's just wild. That's just absolutely wild to me.
It is, man. But it's one of those things, yo, where when you're dealing with an organization that's been known to take shady dealings or something, you know, we're talking about the same owning group that more or less benefits from, you know, putting a whole bunch of money into stuff and being like, hey, look the other way. You know, it's one of those things, man. It's unfortunate, but
it's
when I saw Man City was going to get banned, you know, I was like, this ain't going to happen. I think the only one, even with Chelsea, I didn't think Chelsea was going to get a transfer ban. And that transfer ban was supposed to last the whole year. They got
at least they got something. At least they got something. It's like, yo, like at least, you know, get a lesser penalty. Like don't just erase it just entirely. That's what blows me. But yeah.
Maybe Man City got some money on them or something. Or got some dirty fouls on them and be like, look,
I mean, you don't have that kind of money without, you know, having some skeletons and knowing other people's skeletons too. So they probably had just as much to lose as they had to win here. So it is what it is. But of course, a quick thing before we go into 2 up and 2 down. I should know special 1 up and 1 down, but of course, thank you guys for everyone that's been buying on the Black Lives Matter name sets at ftcutd.myshopify.com. Keep buying them. We're still donating to the Bail Project and to Camp Rise of Georgia. Of course, still get your hats, shirts, name sets, all that jazz at ftcutd.myshopify.com. So, like I said, we got a quick episode today, but so we're gonna do 1 up and 1 down. What you got? Actually, I got one for you because, of course, you up there back home. Of course, we talked about it last week, and of course, it actually happened this week. The Redskins about to be done. Deadskins done. Deadskins.
Yeah, that joke actually works now.
Yeah.
That joke doesn't make me feel as bad.
So what's been the sentiment up back home?
To be real with you, it's been a mixture of people really excited to see the name change and they see it as something progressive, and then you know you got some people that are, I'm gonna be real with you, some people that are truly ignorant, even in the black race, that say, "Oh, it's just a name." You know, what's the problem with it? And then I have to sit there and explain to them, like, all right, if there was a team called the Washington Niggas, y'all be up here always ready to fight everybody.
No, I got one for you. If it was the Washington Raccoons and they kept on being called Coons, I guarantee you, everybody will be looking at this so differently.
Yeah, you know, and that's the one thing. Like, if it doesn't affect us, we don't really care about it. But you know, if it affects that group of people, I can't argue that. Even though I'm not a Redskins fan at all. You know, if they find it derogatory, all right, change the name. It shouldn't be that hard. But I don't give the Redskins no credit in this, because this is something they should have done back in 2013 when the issue first came out.
I actually looked at there's a Washington Post article that came out in the aftermath of all this, and the first actual protest that came on the name was 40 years ago, 1972.
Wow!
And for them to take this long to finally do this, it's beyond overdue. And there actually has been some residual effect actually in Richmond. For those of you who aren't the most up to date history buffs, Richmond is the capital of the Confederacy, and if you go there, of course, you've already seen in the news. They have a lot of Confederate statues. Not only that, but they also have some high schools that are named after Confederate leaders. They have Lee Davis High School, Stonewall Jackson Middle School. They just announced this week they're changing their names. So, you know, like the residual effect from all this, at least it has something at least for you and me directly, that because we saw it firsthand. Like, I didn't think they'd ever change those names. That's actually one thing I'm actually really happy to see.
Yeah, man. Even with Lee Davis High School name being changed, It was a 4-3 vote. Like it barely got passed.
Oh, it was going to be tight. It was going to be tight,
man. But I mean, it gives hope for the future. It lets us know that there is change coming with this. And I was explaining to people. People were all upset. At the beginning of the protest about there's looting, there's rioting, and things like that. And I told people, we all know, any smart, sane person knows that looting and rioting is wrong. We know that. But we also know that this battle is going to have to be fought on multiple different fronts. You're going to have some people that fight that only good in political battles. You're going to have some people that are good at looting and riots and to get people to wake up, things like that. And it caused change. This is the most change we have seen, truly, I'd probably say since the 1960s. Like, if you really look at all the change that is really happening in this country that could potentially change, we have never seen this kind of level since the 1960s. But it's the fact now that, and also, it's probably one of the best things that's happened. If it weren't for COVID, probably none of this stuff never happens because everyone can push it up on the rug and wait till another news cycle.
Yeah, definitely not to this extent. Like, because everyone's been home, everyone's been home frustrated. Wondering if they're gonna get back to work or if they're just gonna get their unemployment. So, trust me, the frustration came at the right time for this to kind of bubble over the way it had. What else you got?
Shoot. I also want to say a shout out to all the, MLS and USL squads that are putting appropriate action into, Black Lives Matter. Like South Georgia Tormenta that's partnered up with their local NAACP. I think it was San Diego, the Black Lives Matter jersey. They're donating funds. Forward Madison, Richmond Kickers as well.
Birmingham Legion has one. They just did one with the Birmingham Civil Rights Museum on there. Like that one, I want that one bad actually.
Yeah, son. You know what? There were certain clubs I was waiting on to see if they was really gonna be about that action. As Birmingham was one of them because I was like, yo, y'all right in the heart of the civil rights movement. I want to see if y'all really gonna sweep this under the rug. Unlike some teams like Chattanooga, for instance, man.
Always Chattanooga. Chattanooga. Man.
And this is my thing, and I'm probably gonna catch some heat from it. But you know what? Whatever. You can holler at me at Twitter, and I'll probably block you and ignore you. This is the thing for both Chattanooga clubs. First of all, Chattanooga Red Wolves. You have gotten so much bad press, even before you were a club, really for the last year and a half, from the podcasters saying that they'll hang a flamingo with a noose, to the club kind of coming in there and imposing or not imposing, whatever you want to explain it, taking over for Chattanooga Football Club. You could have made so much good press for yourself. You got a head coach that's a person of color. You got multiple players on your team that are people of color. And yet you put out this flimsy statement that says nothing. And you pretty much act like nothing happens. And from what I understand, Chattanooga is not a town that is like really black. It's majority white. So if you make
we don't do mountains like that, man. We don't do mountains, so that's why we there.
But still, like you could have made like a real strong stance and not just been like, oh, this is just something.
You could have been an ally. You could have been an ally. Say, hey, even though we don't really deal with that issue here per se, we want to be an ally to the cause.
Right. And the thing is, like they have a guy, I can't remember his name. He's an older black man. And if you go look at Chattanooga FC League Doc that USL One did, they kind of highlighted him on the field and said, oh, he's a big part of the community. But if you put a statement out like that, like what are you saying? You're not really saying anything of substance. You just put out generic words and not put any action behind it.
Right.
And I don't want this excuse because same thing with Richmond Kickers. I had to tell them, like, don't give me that flimsy excuse of, well, we do this in the community and, we just do it behind closed doors. But y'all go out there.
This ain't the time for closed doors. It's time to actually, be counted. But
no, this is my thing. Like, if you say you do this behind closed doors, then everything else y'all do from this point before, I don't want to see it promoted or nothing. Because since y'all do everything behind closed doors. It's not a political statement. It's come down to human basic rights. We're not saying F12. We're not saying that we don't matter. Like, we're not saying that we're more important than anyone. We just basically say we matter. Like,
Right. Exactly.
and my other thing too with like Chattanooga FC, I granted they put out a statement. It was a little bit better, a little bit cleaner, but I haven't seen, from what I've seen, I haven't followed it closely the past couple of days, but I haven't really seen anything past that,
Mm.
And I get it. We all love these teams. We all care for them. We all want them to be part of our communities. Got like Gregory, you know me. Like, I'm probably one of the few outside of Kyle. I'm probably one of the few soccer fans that is USL first, MLS second.
Mm.
So
true.
really for like USL fans is a lot different from us from like MLS fans. And I'm not trying to create a divide here, but it's the truth of the matter. It's just the fact of like our USL clubs are a lot smaller, so like the community routes are a lot more. So they need the community more than what an MLS team does. Perfect example, just look at how both teams are coming back. MLS is playing in a bubble. USL is playing in Georgia that has over 15 cases a day.
Yeah.
That's the difference in the two. That's the difference in the money support. MLS can care less whether or not you like them or not. USL, they need you to like them.
No, I won't go that far because I think ideally, if they could have it their way, they would have fans. But I think that especially as the type flight division of America and technically Canada, I guess, and they know that they can't set that standard course. But like you said, USL's in a different spot. So I will say this in regards to that, because I was watching Louisville the other day. They opened up the new stadium.
Man, that's
too many people have been there. Too many people in there. I was like that. Like it was like everything in me. The anxiety was like, "Yo, like these people are way too close." Like it just messed me all up. But
that's the other thing that I've learned about this is, and this is something that is going to take a lot of people to get used to when they're seeing these live sports. Is you can't. This is me personally. Like you can't judge it how it is in your state based on how it is in another state. Because, like, honestly, like, for Kentucky, when I first saw it, I was like, yo, why is that many people there? But then when I asked, like, a couple of Louisville supporters, I was like, dog, like, everyone was really social distance. There was, like, the drummers were a little bit close, but that's because of how the cameras were set up. But it was literally, like, every, I think, 6 to 10 seats were roped off. And you had to have the match, you had to sit there. So it looked like everyone was close up, jumping together. But then when you really, like, ask and see, it's a lot different. And how the state has handled it, I was like, all right, cool. I'm waiting to see how Richmond going to be doing it when we have our first home game.
Because League's One about to get started, man. Y'all say you ready? Are y'all ready?
Yeah, man. I'm excited for it, man. I'm just ready to see some live football.
Okay, we'll see what's up there. Let me hop up in there with my one up and one down. Of course, Juice WRLD just came out with his first, posthumous album. Came out last week. Whether it's gang violence or whether it's just police violence, we got to stop killing each other. Of course, we talked about it last week with Sequoia Turner. I feel like no matter what the situation, one is too many, and it's a shame that a talent like him isn't here to do his thing and take care of his craft and his family and everything. I would be remiss if we ain't talk about the entanglement. I would be remiss if we didn't. And it's funny because I feel like, one, the fact that they had to go on their own show to talk about this, one of them had to force that. I just feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just how they roll with it as far as their relationship. It's just the fact that it got that far, that they had to make a public spectacle of that, that's just wild. And then last but not least, Jada is a stone cold player. Stone cold.
Yeah. Jada don't care. Jada don't care, man.
Because first of all, the word itself is now in the culture lexicon. Like the word entanglement is in there now. Like if anybody uses that word, they're gonna think of her.
Yeah.
But no, I think that, of course, I'm no one to judge, one relationship to the next, but I just know that it probably wasn't no side piece. It's just, hey, that's just what she had going on at that particular time, and that worked for her. But that's just that was all too funny. If you've seen all the memes and videos from this past week, it's just absolute hysterical.
Nah, the funniest one I seen was Will Smith looking at a VAR booth. He just sitting there like, man, come on. I was like, oh, that's funny. That's funny. That's the one.
But yeah, I'm not going to keep y'all for too long, man. Like I said, I just wanted to give Yogi and the fam a quick plug for the show. Where can you find you guys?
Yeah, man, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at River City 93. River City 93, spell how it sound. A lot of people have been asking us, Can I Kick It does not have his own Twitter.
It should.
I know there's another podcast called Can I Kick It? That's not ours at all, so don't go like their page. I got to be real. Yeah, that's not us. Yeah.
We'll figure something out for that handle, man. We'll get it done.
If I can find another person to operate that Twitter page, then I'm all down for it.
Bro, I do like all the social, man. Like it ain't hard. I promise you.
I know. Yeah. So also we have one more episode coming up. It will be our final episode for season 1. I'm going to drop it here. We're going to be doing an episode on Gil Heron.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing an episode on him. That should be dropping out on next Monday. And pretty much we're just going to be taking a break. With Rich with Kickers coming back. That's kind of like the day one podcast. So we're probably going to spend a lot of the time on that. So we might drop an episode here or there. We don't want to forget about anyone. But, it might slow down. I think we'll be up to 8 episodes. So if you check it out, leave us a like. 5-star like, please. Review and subscribe and share it with a friend.
Cool. But yeah, that's really all we got for this week. Like I said, we're not gonna keep y'all up for too long. We'll be back next week with a full episode. Of course, in NWSL playoffs start this weekend. MLS is back. We're still going. Of course, EPL is heating up. We're still not talking about Liverpool winning the championship. We just
man, look, we both United fans, but we can't.
Maybe one day.
Look, I don't have real hate in my heart for Liverpool. It's really Man City and Arsenal are the two I can't stand.
Mm-hmm.
So Liverpool winning the league for me don't do nothing. As long as Arsenal never wins the league, I'm fine.
Maybe one day, but not today. Not today. Well, they did beat up on Liverpool today, so I'll get the tip of the hat for that.
And that clock is right twice a day.
But yeah, man, we will catch y'all next week. Of course, you can always catch on the social FTC, UTD, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We're still on TikTok somehow, but yeah, of course, make sure that you check out the name stats at FTC, utd.myshopify.com. And also, last but not least, truly last but not least, arrest the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. Do that.
Arrest all the motherfuckers.
Do that. But yeah, for Grego, for Yogi, for Coach, for Mayor, for TK, for Baby E, the coach is real, the coach is everywhere. We will see y'all soon, and we out.